All right, let's have a look. This is just a quickie here from Terra Illumination. It is Thursday morning. It's trash day over here in Las Vegas. I already put it out. So everything's going to be pretty and clean for the next week or so. Some of you know I've been going through personal turmoil with my social media for the I don't even want to tell you how long it's been, but it's been torture. But I am getting help, and I'm starting to come out the other side. Remember, I'm heavily influenced by the Pluto dynamics, and that's why I pay so much attention to the Pluto dynamics. The thing is that it's a very, very, very slow moving experience. 2023 is going to be a year of big changes. I already did a little video. A video about that the other day, and I'm just going into some little, let's say, tangents right here. Today, right now, the moon is in Cancer over here in the west coast of the United States, and we're heading towards the full moon. I would say, let's see, basically about 48 hours, a little bit more. Hello, Starzy. Nice to see you. Excuse the noise in the background. I'm at my mobile office here at McDonald's. So I just wanted to kind of amplify and put a little bit more detail around the full moon itself. The sun will be in Aquarius. Okay, it's getting close to Saturn in Aquarius. So it's a strong, heavy, serious kind of influence for the Aquarian theme. Number one, obviously, if you're an Aquarian dominant person, sun, moon, rising, and so on, or if you have powerful Aquarian streaks, pay attention. We're talking, let's say, I would say a rattling kind of energy that you might sense, kind of like a little bit stressful as the Saturn energy pulls us all into the reality, wherever that aspect lies on your chart. Now, when we actually hit the new moon, the moon will be in Leo opposing strongly, okay? And it's actually a very, again, it's a kind of stressful aspect. The moon, wherever the moon flows, I personally tend to notice that there's a sort of a kind of fearful energy that goes with it. Because the moon represents our emotional body, and our emotions, like it or not, are mostly designed and triggered to recognize anything dangerous, which translates into fear. And so we would feel maybe like sensitive or anxious or unsettled or scared, and we might want to retreat, and our emotions would clam up, and we might feel chest pains, we might feel fatigue, we might feel reluctant to, engage or communicate openly and directly. We might feel as though we're just doing just fine, but deep inside, there will be this pull. It's the opposition. There's the moon, and there's the sun and Saturn, and they're opposing each other. And it's a bit of a reality check. You can't not see it. Okay? It's the energy of opposition. There's nowhere to hide. The opposition axis is the same. Wherever the opposition axis is, it's the same dynamic. It's about the relationship between self and other. In other words, the relationship between you and everything else that is not you. And that often includes people, or certainly significant others. But it could include the whole world around you. Or you could be like this, like, oh my God, like, why was I not thinking? Why was I not prepared for what is coming? Now, some of you know I'm a bit of a prepper in my own way. I don't focus so much on the food. I focus more on self-defense and home security and the the maintenance of my freedom. Let's put it that way. I don't want to get into trouble here. So Anyway, just please be alert if there's any kind of internal fear, okay? Understand that that's normal and you will pass through. So if any of you have a strong Leo Aquarius axis, please be alert. Now, let's add to that. In between the polarity, okay, Uranus is in Taurus, right at the center there. And it's also conjoined the North Node. So when you put that together, you get a big fat red triangle on the charts. That's actually called a T-square because it's actually more like this in terms of the astrology, okay? So T-squares are typically some of the most stressful aspects in astrology, and it affects everybody whether you like it or know it or not. So again, if you are one of the fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, please be aware. You might be feeling a lot of tension, a lot of rattled in some way, and it might be very much to do with money. But in a kind of a broad sense, money in terms of like, where is my money? Where's my money going? Where's my money coming from? How come I feel potentially more poor than I was like 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago? And it's a different story for everybody. I want to get to that in a second. Now, when you take that T-square, okay, and then you look at the opposing side of the T-square, which is up here, that would be Scorpio. So, dear Scorpios, you guys need to pay attention as well, okay? Because it's like you're getting attacked from 3 different sides. You're getting attacked from the Leo, the Aquarius, and the full opposition from Taurus. So some of you Scorpios might feel like you're under a lot of pressure, okay? So please understand that this is normal, okay? So the question is, how do you deal with it? That's where I get into what I call energy management, and I have my own ways of dealing with it. I am particularly sensitive to this particular full moon right now, so I have to be extra vigilant, but it's the same for everybody. As usual, again, if you want to get into the details, where does this actually affect you personally in your charts, you know where to come, tarotillumination.com. You can put donations there and you can come and visit, okay? I want to say this now before I forget. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and do the notifications. Next, I want to get a little less personal here. Again, talking about the moon, okay? Hello, Lily Lynn in Austria. Hello. Oh, Lily, so you're under pressure. Absolutely, for sure. I know that Austria is under a lot of pressure. You're right smack in the middle of Europe, and you're dealing, I would say, with a lot of the astrological pressure and the economic and sociology pressure because of the big, ugly, dirty, nasty, old-fashioned war in Eastern Europe. Then, of course, you also had these really radical influences from some of the global leaders. I'm not going to mention who they are. That put a lot of European countries in very stressful, dire situations unnecessarily. Some of the things that were imposed were things like massive destruction of farms and farming, massive destruction of your liberty and freedom to move around, massive destructions of your ability to stay employed or operate freely in the workplace without being tracked and surveilled by what I would call an evil state that is trying to control and own your life. So it would be very natural for you to feel stress. A lot of the rich people don't feel stressed because they might be part of the elites. So that's a different story. But they represent only a microscopic fraction of the global population, and they live in a completely different paradigm than you or me. Anyway, greetings, Lily Lynn. We will hang out soon. We have to. It will be fun. So let's get back to that full moon. Think of it as a square thing, okay? How can I do a square there? Okay, you see each pointy side of the square. Do you see that? Each pointy side of the square. Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus. So from the global astrology point of view, I'm looking at it from global finance, okay? Immense stress factors on the global financial systems. Now, some of you are aware that the global financial system itself is a massive, hello folks, highly elaborated, highly orchestrated, highly successful Ponzi scheme. That's what it is. I don't think I'm saying anything here that'll get me into trouble. But the point is that empires are susceptible to this system of defrauding themselves and their population. And if you go back through history, thousands and thousands of years, it's a very, very predictable cycle where you find that there's eventually a group of people who think that they are better than you, and that their job is to take everything that they can from you, while at the same time they're telling you that they're going to save you. Okay? The traditional form of this is vote for me and I will save you. Okay? Now that comes in many different forms. Okay? But that is the essential element. Once they are in power, what happens is their hand goes out to all the existing, let's say, enterprises that are looking to profit from we the people. And so there's this perpetual exchange of grifting or pay to play. For example, in America, they have something called campaign finance, which has become extremely corrupt, where politicians go into office specifically so that they can put their hand out behind the scenes and let it be known that they are available and accessible to major corporations and interests who want to profit off we the people. And then that politician will accept the money as part of the campaign finance in order to win the place in office. And then once the politician is in office, they are obliged to try and manipulate the events and circumstances in favor of the people who stuffed his pockets with money. Now that's been going on a long time. It's just, I would say, human behavior, but in the United States has become very corrupt. Now there's other countries like, I guess you could say right now, Brazil, Argentina, well, it's all over the world. I mean, again, I'm going to get into trouble, so let's just, anyway, the global financial system that we have essentially pivots around the United States Federal Reserve banking system, which has now been emulated, copied, enforced, and propagated across the world by every other country that has a parallel bank. Why do they do this? It's because if they do not play in the same field, then they get destroyed by the American financial hegemonic system. All you have to do is fly out into outer space like I do on a regular basis and look at the world from outer space, and you will see how it actually works as opposed to how you think it works. Now, with this fat t-square, okay, let's fat t-square. Okay, you've got 2 oppositions and 4 squares. It's very, very tough. Now, I'm not going to pencil it in too much on the charts, but it is there. And the way I do astrology, it's there for real. And with the Scorpio-Taurus axis at the global scale, it's all about money. Now, we're talking about sound money. When I talk about sound money, I talk about things that have real value. Things like a house or a home that is fair market value, and whether you have the full title to that house. Do you have any gold bars? Do you have any gold coins? Do you have any silver coins? Do you have any automobiles? If you're in America, do you have an automobile where you own the title completely? No loans, no auto loans. Let's think about other types of money. Okay, so in the world of fake money, which is how we operate, thanks to the Federal Reserve, everything's built on debt. And debt is issued, and we, the people, suck it up like a sponge, and then we convert that fake money into actual value, which is now harvested from us in the form of taxation. Okay? It's an incredibly successful system. This never used to exist. You have to understand that. Variations, simpler variations, existed beforehand, but it really came into force in 1913 in the United States. Almost exactly the same time the United States Federal Reserve banking system came into existence, the government was essentially seduced and led into creating the IRS, the Internal Revenue System, as a way to collect the money that needs to be harvested from we, the people, in order for the bank to prosper. The federal government acted as an intermediary on behalf of the bank. The banks are privately owned. Okay? Are you following my drift here? So it just kept going and going and going and going and going. The scam got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It went through different phases, like the Bretton Woods Agreement. You know, let's lock it in with the petrodollar and gold. And that sucked because there just was too much of a chokehold on the ability to print more money and issue more debt. So in 1971, Richard Nixon, under pressure from the Fed, ditched the gold. And then inflation took off even further. And we saw it, as we the people, is like, wow, expanding the economy, people growing, back more and more and more business. And there's a sad, tragic side to it, okay? Oh, I'm frozen. Now that might be, everything is over here, hold on. Over here, the stream is good, okay? Lily Lynn, a debtocracy. Oh my God, that's brilliant. Let's use that again in the future, okay? So, what's happening right now is, as you know, I translate all this back to the Pluto cycle from about 250 years ago in the United States, 1776. Now we're here at 1776 revisited. It's a stretch from 2020 to 2024. That's the cusp period. We're going through it right now. It's going to be extremely stressful for the United States, therefore for the rest of the world. Okay? And we have to live through it. And at the very core of the stress is the global financial system. The global financial system is coming unglued because they've reached the end of this super cycle. It's essentially an implosion. We, the people, are seeing it in the form of astronomical inflation. Okay? The inflation is a direct result of the collusion between the federal banks and the federal government to enrich themselves at the expense of we the people. And they can't stop the process, because if they do, then the whole system implodes. It's going to implode anyway, but at the very last minute, when we're looking at Pluto, 29 degrees, 29.5 degrees, that is the moment where it's under extreme desperation. And the whole of the global elite and the global financial systems are accelerating in their desperation. And what we, the people, will notice is increased maniacal attempts to control human behavior, increased inflation, astronomical increases in commodity prices, which translates for you, the people, that's me and we, the people, as poverty, decreasing standard of living. And for about 2 billion other people, that also translates into starvation and death. Okay? It's that bad. Okay? Now, in contrast, the North Node in Taurus is telling us we need to do something about this. Stop it, humanity. Stop trusting your hard-earned value into another entity that is telling you Invest with me, save with me, and I will save you. It's time for self-custody. It is time for sovereign self-finance. It's time for you to take full responsibility for your own finance. And a parallel world is now starting to emerge around that concept. But it does require you, the people, to have a much deeper understanding of money. What is money? Where does your money come from? Why does it seem to be that every year you work harder and harder and harder and you get poorer and poorer and poorer? Now remember, that's for the masses. It's not for the elites at the top. It's completely different for them. It's the opposite story, because they're the ones that are perpetuating the Ponzi scheme. But the scheme is collapsing. Okay? Anyway, that's my particular take on this full moon. I know it's really about the Aquarius-Leo opposition, that axis, but I feel that the real stress factors, the deepest ones, are on the Scorpio-Taurus axis. That's all about money. Real money versus fake money. Where do we stand? Correct, Lily, you are so absolutely correct. You'll probably notice that in the so-called Western economies, basically the whole of Western Europe, the whole of the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, we are all starting to experience the horrors of inflation. The government is telling you that inflation is like 3, 5, 7, 8%. No, it's much, much worse than that. Now, we're not at the point of like what happened in Venezuela or Germany or just the other day in Lebanon. Do you realize in Lebanon a few days ago, they are so desperate that they had to devalue the Lebanese lira 90% in order to stay current with the rest of the global markets. The net result is that inside Lebanon, every Lebanese person is now essentially radically impoverished compared to the rest of the world. I remember when something like this happened in England when I lived there as a little kid, and England devalued the pound in order to survive. It was catastrophic. Actually, I wasn't just a little kid. I was enough where I was already earning money as a young lad. And then the value of my money went. Inflation is a form of imprisonment. It's a form of bleeding you. It's a way to milk you. It's a way to steal from you. And it's pretty much evil. Yes, Lily. 90, not 19, 90% for Lebanon. It's already very tragic in Venezuela, Colombia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, multiple African nations. They're all in a state of devastation right now. And with that much inflation, at that much rate, millions of people are just simply going to die from starvation. Anyway, I just wanted to wake people up to the reality. I'm an American. I'm in the United States, so I'll be one of the last people to feel any of this, because the closer that you are to the printing press, which is here in the United States, at the home of the Federal Reserve banking system and the United States Treasury and the United States federal government, we are effectively 330 million people at the very top of the pinnacle. So the Americans will be last to feel the effects, but we will feel it, okay? It's gonna go down, okay? So please brace yourself. Start to educate yourself about money. What is money? First of all, money is what you believe it to be. I wrote my little book. You're welcome to look at it. But it's very, very important. Now, I'm going to do an invitation. I'm going to try something. I haven't done this in a long time. I invite all of you, anyone who's watching, to join me at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time next Thursday, February I believe it's the 9th. I'm going to send you a link, and you can join in to a live private stream, okay? Therefore, we can talk about this stuff openly without any censorship. It's an experiment. I'm trying to reformat my, let's say, my platform, my content, my Terra Illumination brand, okay? Lily, you've got the book, yes, okay. Well, that little book is even more profound and more accurate and true today than ever before. Thank you, Lily, for chipping in today. I've done a long video here. I didn't intend to go this long, but I got carried away. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much for hanging out. And I'm going to shut this down now. Have a super day. If you need to, get in touch with me, okay? Go to terraillumination.com. You can figure it out from there. Like, subscribe, do your notifications. Number one, look after yourself, protect yourself, defend yourself. Remember, we still have rights unless we let someone take them away. Okay? So stand up and fight. You're doing a great job already, at least as well as you can. Have a super day, folks. We'll talk again very soon.